Welcome to Rewired. I'm your host, Laura Schwam, and tonight's transformational topic is iridology with special guest, iridologist, Dr. Shakirah Moore. Iridology is a practice that involves analyzing the iris of the eye to gain insight into a person's systematic health. Iridology has ancient roots with that records all the way back to ancient Greece, Egypt, and China. The core principle of uriology is the belief that the iris of the eye reflects information about a person's health, of the body's organs, and the systems of the body. Practitioners often examine the color, patterns, markings, and other characteristics of the iris to identify potential health issues or weaknesses. In tonight's show, I have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Shakirah Moore, an iridologist from Pennsylvania. Dr. Shakirah uses her keen intuition and a deep understanding of the human eye. She has gained a reputation for her remarkable ability to diagnose and treat patients using the ancient art of iridology. She encounters a diverse range of patients, each with their own complex medical issues, from mysterious elements that baffle conventional medicine to emotional traumas manifesting in physical symptoms. Dr. Shakirah uses her expertise in iridology to uncover the underlying cause of her patients' struggles. With each health issue she tackles, Dr. Shakirah Moore dives deeper into the intricate patterns of the iris, revealing not only the physical health, as I said before, and the emotional health, but also the spiritual dimensions that influence their well being. As she helps her patients heal and grow, Dr. Shakirah also helps her clients confront their own past and their fears, drawing strength from the profound connection she shares with the eye that mirrors the soul. Dr. Shakirah Moore is a board certified master urologist, teaches in the ancient history of medicine, how to live the way that we were intended to by utilizing our own God given blueprint to combat all diseases. Your iris, she says, is also a spiritual counselor. She's also a spiritual counselor, but she says that it's all connected to the spirit. So I'm really, really excited to have someone like this on our show because it's a doctor that we've never that you don't hear about. So thank you so much for making time to be on my show, Dr. Shakirah Moore. Can you tell us how you got into this, and can you say the word, even though I've said it 1,000 times? I know I am butchering the word iridology because I know that that's not the way that you say it.
Yeah, it's all right. Iridology or iridology, some people say it differently, but I say it or pronounce it iridology.
Iridology. See, I can say
Iridology.
it when you say it, but when I have to say it, it's a tongue twister. So you
Yeah.
remember it's iodology,
Or
right?
right. It could be iridology or iridology. Either way, people
Right.
pronounce it differently.
So let me ask you, how did you get into it, and how did you always know about this type of medicine? Because I have to be honest with you, I never heard about it before I came across you.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for having me here and sharing on your platform for others that may not have never heard of iridology. I've been going to iridologists since I was 2 years old. My mom has been going since around my age, and so how I was turned on to iridology to study this science was my mom, was telling me a story of how she had this aching pain on her right side of her abdomen. And it prompted her to go to the doctors. They couldn't figure it out. They ran every test, 2 weeks back and forth. They could not figure it out. They gave her Tylenol, a painkiller, and they said, hey, this is all we can do for you. We don't know why you're in pain, and so, with nothing to lose, my grandmother told her, I told you to go see the iridologist, and at the time his name was Dr. Gonzalez in Brooklyn, New York. And with nothing to lose, and my mom said, you know what, I'll just go. And she went to the iridologist, and 2 minutes into sitting in his chair, he told her, well, you have gallstones. And she's like, gallstones? I mean, she's heard about it before because she had a friend at the time that recently had her gallbladder removed. And she's like, there's no way. And he told her the diet that leads to gallstones, and that was everything that she was eating at that time. So he gave her a remedy to pass the stones. He told her to fast for the weekend, olive oil and lemon juice. And so you'll be able to pass the stones. That helps to soften the bile ducts for you to move the stones through and out through the rectum area. Well, by Monday, she passed the stones, no more pain.
Wow.
And so I just remember her telling me it was like these little green pea stones that came out. And I was like, wow, I was just blown away from that story. I was like, I'm like, a doctor could look into your eyes and see the gallbladder zone of the iris. And immediately I told her, I'm like, this is what I want to do. And so she put me through school. She actually paid for my schooling. It was a year program. And then I went back to school at the International Circle of Masters. And then I studied for the naturopath exam. I also became certified through the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, board certified master iridologist. And so it just constantly, and I do plan on going back to school to teach on like a professor level. So I definitely enjoy,
I think
learning.
that's great. That because so many people haven't heard about it. And we need teachers, because I've taken a lot of courses too. And like I said, I'm surprised. Now,
Yeah.
I have a question. How exactly do you interpret the patterns in the iris to identify things like allergies and sensitivities? What would something like that look like?
Absolutely. I actually have a video coming out or doing a live on allergies and the respiratory and lymphatic connection. Well, those with allergies have a compromised respiratory and lymphatic pathway. What happens is that the respiratory area of the iris, which is the bronchioles, the bronchus, is they have markings on it, whether it's dark, which shows the chronic stage, or light, which shows the acute stage. Each part of the iris or each color and marking will indicate the stage of health a person is in. So even though a person may not have symptoms of that specific disease, doesn't mean that that disease is not happening in the body. And that is what I like to drive home, because we have this idea that we're walking around, we have our faculties, we're fine, until boom, we turn 40, 50 and something happens. Nothing happens out of the blue. It's been making its way and manifesting for years before we take heed to its symptoms. That cold, that flu, how many times we have suppressed it with Mucinex? How many times we have suppressed it with Tylenol? These are signs that the body gives that disease is manifesting on a deeper level. And so dealing with allergies, that's the respiratory, that's the sinuses, that's the lymphatic pathway. And
that's what I'm suffering with now.
Yeah. and right, welcome spring, right? Happy New Year. Right. So that's what we're going to be experiencing a lot more of. So the key with allergies, and to rid yourself of it completely, is to go on a thorough cleanse of the lymphatics, do steam inhalation therapy, meaning you put different herbs in a big pot of boiling water, like mullein, eucalyptus, peppermint essential oil, orange peel, sea salt, and you wait till it boils and you breathe that pot in, that fume in. And what that does is it brings all that mucus out through the nose. You start to feel it in your chest. And so this is a very important practice for those who suffer from seasonal allergies. Also, some of the foods to refrain from, because again, we're going into this is a new year. So you want to eat lighter and less dairy as possible. So that's what I would say the connection is with allergies and looking into the iris and the areas to look at when a person is dealing with allergies.
So that's very, it's very interesting. And like I said, I think now more than ever, as the world is changing and people are also more high strung, I think that the nervous system definitely gets affected. We're seeing more and more sensitivities
Mhm.
because of it. And so it would be a nice practice. So I know that you do detoxes and you
Yes.
teach detoxes during certain times of the year because of this.
Right.
I have an upcoming one too. You have an upcoming one.
Yeah, well, we just finished a cleanse. We did the liver cleanse for the spring equinox. We just finished that. I've had a lot of clients, a lot of people, not just clients, but people who joined from all over the world and chimed in and said, they lost weight, or what I like to say, lost waste, more
Yeah.
clarity, more abundance as well. People don't realize that what's blocking the abundance or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest is the blockages you have inside the organs. So if you want to manifest something, and I mean, we have the ability to manifest it at the snap of a finger, well, you want to detox to clear the paths to your abundance. I've had a person in the chat said, I just signed a new contract for a new job. And this was after the detox. I've even put in the chat because what had her put in the chat, what she experienced was, I said, I find that more money is making its way to me after cleansing. So it's for us to really raise the chakras from the root on up to the crown,
It's
is to
true.
really master the detoxing of the physical body so that we can understand what the spirit has been trying to communicate to us
And
all
I
along.
have to intervene a little bit because it's like with people, they don't realize that that the psychological and the emotional blocks are what we're talking about. And it's when they say that they've done all this healing, because I have clients all the time say, I've done all this healing and I'm still not seeing results. They haven't integrated the spiritual lesson fully. And so what Dr. Shakirah Moore here is talking about the fact that they need to actually ground it. And ground it is by mastering the body and
Right,
knowing how the body works. And
right,
that will open. So if you're someone that says, I've forgiven, I've let go, I've done it all, well, you want to see Dr. Shakirah Moore because then you need to take it to the next step. And that
right,
next step is the actual clearing. See, when we're clear conduit, we allow spirit to work through us.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. And perfectly said. You have to be a clear vessel to receive. Otherwise, the pathway can be blocked based upon us in our own way, no one else. So things that we complain about the most is what? Money. That's mastering the root chakra.
Or
Mastering
love. Love.
or love. That's right. That's right. So you have to start from the bottom up to get to level to level to level. So
And
it's imperative that we understand that a detox of whatever we need based upon our blueprint is necessary for us to live the way we were designed to.
And if you've inherited a lot of past life karma, ancestral karma, because I know that, such as myself, I have an overactive nervous system, so allergies are there. So it's you have to do the work to
Mhm.
really see, and that's why most of us that have done that are born into the healer's path. I have a question. What specific markers in the iris do you look for to determine the nature um, of of something that's emotional?
Oh, okay. As far as like
Like
based
let's
upon
just say
one's
depression, a
emotional,
person that
yeah.
suffers depression or
Mhm.
anxiety, because a lot of viewers I know suffer from anxiety.
Yes. Well, there's a place in the iris, more so on the left iris, called the solar plexus. So if there's any markings there, that would indicate me to look at the nervous system and also the adrenal glands. Okay. And so a lot of times when it comes to anxiety, I always look to the adrenal glands. It's overworked. The person is tired. They're
In
living
survival mode.
outside, right? They're in survival mode. They're living outside of themselves. They're not thriving, but they're just, just in their head, barely making it, have a lack mindset. And so on a spiritual level, that's what that means. And what happens is it manifests itself on a physical side when it comes to the kidneys and the adrenal glands. The kidneys is a organ related to fear, and also the thyroid. Okay, so I look to those organs to see what's happening more so on an emotional and mental level when it comes to the challenge of anxiety. So more so, it's really, the remedy for that is helping that person first to breathe, because you're not breathing correctly if you have, or you're challenged, not have, you don't have anything. We don't own anything, right?
Right.
These are names that's been given to us and definitions that we have accepted. You don't own anxiety. I tell people all the time, all my anxiety. No. Correct yourself. It's a challenge based upon you are separated from the spirit in the will. And so,
Language is everything when manifesting, and people aren't aware. A lot of times that's again an inherited thing. So
right.
it's important to say, can I ask you, how would you differentiate between environmental allergies, food allergies, and other health issues based on iris pattern?
Oh, is
Like,
that another question?
how would you be able to differentiate like environmental allergies from a
Hmm.
food sensitivity to
Hmm.
other health issues just by looking at the eye? Is
Well, it
it certain
depends.
colors or?
Yeah. Well, if it's like a
Yeah.
food allergy, it depends on the person's experience, because I have clients, or if I heard of people that never had allergies to apples and peaches, but as they got older, they did. And this was mainly those who had gastric bypass surgeries, or those tummy tucks, something that they're doing during the surgery where they're cutting parts, or clipping or stapling the stomach, which it creates a sensitivity to certain enzymes. So I've heard of that. As far as other food allergies, I mean, I could tell based upon the stomach area, which is around the pupil zone. I may ask questions of, any kind of specific food allergies, or sensitivities to certain products that they're maybe eating. But
Would
a
you
lot of
do
the
any,
allergies come later on based upon one's experience.
would you do any like pre like if someone came to you and you were unsure, would you make them do some food allergy testing first?
Oh, as far as like get it done?
Yeah, like let's just say like you couldn't tell, because I'm
Mhm.
sure sometimes when a disease goes for a long period of time, other things get affected. It's just
Right,
how it happens.
right.
So you might say, well, it could be this, it could be food allergies, or it could be environmental, or it could be emotional, or it could be a combination of all of it. So at first I'm going to give you a protocol because I feel like I need to give you a protocol. Or do you give the protocol before? Do you give the protocol while you're diagnosing, or do you make them do the food allergy first and then do like
But the protocol is
testing?
given after. As far as a person wanting a food sensitivity test by their medical doctor, I have no problem with that. I'm not against
But do you do it? Is what I was
I don't
asking.
do that. No,
Oh,
I'm not a
okay.
medical doctor. Mm-mm.
So
No.
it's just mainly you just study the eye and then you give the person your recommendation.
Right, right. Based upon what food, herbs, all of that is under the same umbrella. What potential challenges that they may face, because the iris also indicates future diseases that a person may experience if they lead a certain lifestyle throughout their life. So if I have a 20-something-year-old or a 22-year-old, and I say, hey, I had a teenage boy who I seen a issue with his prostate. Now he's a teenager. He goes for a prostate exam at his age. The doctors is not going to catch it because it's not at a chronic level where the cells have quadrupled, or whatever of what they detect of cancer cell has a quadrupled, that they'll be able to tell that. But the iris tells it in its infancy stages, well before a person feels an ache or pain. And so he has now his blueprint to make sure to nourish his prostate, to understand and learn in semen retention for men. That's a very powerful practice because excess ejaculation leads to a weakened prostate. And so he's learning all of that now so that when he gets to be 40, 50, he's not going for these invasive prostate exams, and he's not a prostate cancer is less of a chance for him than it would have been if he didn't have this knowledge. But that's, again, if he follows the protocols throughout his life, so that's important for your viewers to know that there's no such thing as diseases like heart disease and diabetes and what they call cancer out of nowhere developing. This has been happening all throughout our lives, but because we ignore the signs, then that's when it's like, okay, I have to get your attention now. That's all really cancer is. I need your attention. You've been ignoring me this long.
Everything happens in the spiritual realm long before it happens in the physical realm. And that's what we say,
absolutely,
understanding the psychological and the emotionals always
absolutely
have behaviorisms attached to it. And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about being able to look at a person's eyes and saying, I know what habits and behaviorisms you have, and what you need to do to reverse the effects of that trauma, because that's essentially what a wound is. It's a trauma that keeps on happening.
That's just settled. Right. It has settled. So it just takes time, though. Everyone is different, and not everyone's going to receive this information the same. So that's why for really 100% of it, they come to me. I don't seek. Because if you go seeking to heal, well, people are not going to receive it the same.
They're not going to respect it.
They're not going to respect it. I've had that, even with family members, close friends.
It's always those in the holistic community. But the truth of the matter is again, we are spiritual beings having human experiences, and that spiritual experiences to be that clear conduit of unconditional love. And so whenever we have that sabotaging behaviorism, it's because we are compensating for that trauma, or that wound per se. So how often would you say patients need to typically follow up to reevaluate their symptoms, such as allergies and sensitivities and other stuff?
I would say every 6 months, I recommend an iridology consultation, a follow-up, because after the 6 months, your iris changes. I've had clients, their iris color changes. Have you ever had a person that you've known, or even yourself, you were born with a certain eye color, but over time it changes, it gets darker. So there's like a quote in the Bible, and I'm not quoting it verbatim, but it says, thine eye be thy light if thine body is full of light, but if thine body is full of darkness, thine eye will be be dark. That's talking about your blueprint. Really, I didn't go deep into the Bible, but the Bible's a scroll of our navigational system. And so really, the iris changes colors based upon one's lifestyle. I've had a client that I've done on live Instagram. He was blown away of how his iris went. And after 8 months, he'd done the great cleanse. The great cleanse is just having seeded grape juice for weeks on end, or 3 to 7 days, whatever days you do it. But he'd done it for a long time. He fasted. He took different herbs that I recommended, and he came back and he was like blown away. His iris was completely different. He even wrote a book about it and mentioned me. So I really give thanks for that. And so we went on live and we showed the iris photos from 8 months prior until the present. And I was like, people were like blown away, like, wow, this happened. Your eye color can get lighter back to its original state from when you were born based upon the detox process. So
Well, I
yes,
believe
6 months.
that.
Mhm.
Just the same way that you could see how skin, when we're born, we're really, I mean, we're born perfect. Like,
Yes.
and the way that we breathe, that we're, it's not until we're born in certain environments. So they always say it's your environment that creates your realities. So if someone is going through a bad relationship, I'm sure they would do very well to come see you, because we know a lot of times it's not just anxiety and depression that comes from being in a narcissistic type relationship, or being like in one of those things, but that eventually people really do suffer from physical health ailments.
Right. Absolutely. Again, and nothing happens to the physical body without being governed by the spiritual body. So as far as the healing lines is concerned, yeah, the iris will show healing lines in an area where it was once dark. So 6 months is the minimum time. It could be 8 months or a year.
And
Just
how
keep
much
up with the practice. Hmm?
and how much would a session be?
Well, my
Does it
session for an
range?
hour is 195.
Okay, so, and I think that that's fair. I mean, and I also think that it's all about preventative medicine. We've come to a place within our evolution that we can no longer live without integrating the spirit part of ourselves. We can
Right.
no longer.
Right,
It's like,
because I can say, hey, take this herb, take that fruit juice. But if you don't fix what's in here, that herb or that fruit juice can only go but so far. So it's I would be doing that person a disservice if I did not put everything together. See, we were so used to, in our society, in our world, we fragment everything. That's why when we get, by the time we're 40, 50, 60 years old, we have a doctor for every organ, a circulatory doctor, a neurology a
and we're
doctor,
also have detachment and dissociation disorder because of it, because we departmentalize everything.
exactly. And so you never, when it comes to female issues, those who suffer from cysts and ovarian cancers, well, your gynecologist or gynecologist oncologist is not going to tell you to cleanse your colon, because they separate the reproductive system in just that. They specialize in that region and that region only. And that's why I say we don't really have doctors anymore. We have specialists. A doctor is supposed to teach you how to live without him or her.
Right.
Okay. And you're not supposed to keep coming back. Oh, come back, go to this specialist, refer here, because they get money every time they refer you to a specialist. So my job is not for you to keep coming back. My job is to teach you how to live so that you can go off on your own and shine your light the way I'm shining mine.
Right.
So that's the key here. We have to begin to less fragmentation and more holistic way of thinking, putting the whole together without separating the parts. If you have a heart challenge, you may not know it's connected to the liver. Or if you have a foot challenge, you may not know it's connected to one of the sex organs. So we have to begin to put everything together.
Absolutely. And like I said, I believe that that is the biggest problem today. We don't know who we are.
Mhm.
And when you don't know who you are, you begin to look for the answers outside of yourself.
Yes.
And that's where the behaviorisms come from, to try to compensate for living out of balance. Because we can live out of balance and then it feels actually comfortable to live out of balance and not even know that you're living out of balance.
Well, that's the
So,
subconscious mind.
right. And
That's
so,
the subconscious mind, what we've been trained to how to live since birth. If your mom gave you, let's say, a chicken wing at 6 months old, well, you're already trained to eat chicken, or you're trained to live that specific way until you retrain the subconscious mind. A lot of times we are acting in a way where we think we're in control, but really you're not. It's based upon programming. And so what I like to say is, if you're not programming yourself, someone else is. Society has programmed us to live a specific way. And so you have to take your power back by reprogramming yourself to what you want the program to be. What do
And that's
you
how
want
you
the
can
program?
create your own heaven on earth.
Yes,
You know, I mean,
absolutely.
that's how we bring
Absolutely.
heaven to earth. It's through
Absolutely.
that, through
Yes.
embodying that knowledge. And it's so important. We can't stress it enough at this point, because I believe that there's a spiritual war happening right now as we're speaking. I mean, and that spiritual war is one that wants to take your power. I mean, when you live in a gas lit society, because our society really teaches that it's all about money, you know, and
Mhm.
all about, and not really about love. When you are love, and then we feel disconnected from love. So
Mhm.
it really does bring it back to full circle, I feel like. It's
Absolutely.
it's very, very empowering. I can't believe how fast tonight's show went, because I feel like I can ask 1,000 questions like, oh, what if you have like did you ever notice people that had issues? Like, what's the most miraculous um healing story that you could share with us?
I have a recent one. I had a student in my program, the Detox with Iridology program. She came to me with thyroid disease, um, and a few other challenges. And so, before we got started, I didn't even, ask her to do this, but she wrote a letter to herself and said, and all the foods in her fridge. She said, "Thank you for coddling me when I needed, when I was depressed, when I was sad, when I was angry. But you know what? Your services no longer needed." This is what she's telling the poor degenerated foods. And so she cleaned house and she threw everything out, all the alcohol, everything, and replaced it with fresh raw fruits and live foods. She's been doing it for the last 4 months. She had a goiter, thyroid goiter on her neck. I kid you not, I have pictures on my Instagram that the goiter went down. She did a liver flush. No complaints of gallbladder issues, liver enzyme test came back fine. But yet she still passed the liver and gallstones. And after that, it just, she felt better. The weight was just falling off with ease. Things that inflammation issues that she was having before started to improve, less pain in her legs, knees, feet. And so that, I mean, that was a recent story because she's still in my program, but I have so much more to a client who was diagnosed, or they said she had breast issues. And you can tell people that if you ask a question about breast cancer, you can tell that through the iris. I just don't call it cancer. I let you know how chronic it is in the breast tissue area. She goes and gets a test from her doctor, and what do you know? That's what they found, that it wasn't malignant, but they said you have to come back for extra tests. So she followed the program, the lymphatic detox. 8 weeks later, went back, and the node was beginning to go down. And so this is not something miraculous that I've done. This is the people getting their blueprint and doing the work on their.
But it's also really important to know that when you take an antibiotic in your child, that antibiotic never leaves your system. It gets pushed down into your cells. So someone wouldn't know that they had liver issues.
Mhm.
Wouldn't realize that someone like me, I was dependent on asthma medicine my entire childhood, and I abused it because I was living out of balance. And so, not until later did other manifestations come about that. But people don't realize that it's the fact that you never get rid of your medication unless you detox it out of your
Mhm.
cells and organs. Like, you can get rid of it, but
Okay.
you don't you just automatically get rid of it because time. People tend to think that time does something. Time doesn't do anything.
No.
Just the same as sometimes people, they said in the AA, they would say, I would hear stories that people would say, yeah, I moved 18 times in a year. I moved, but they didn't realize they were bringing themselves with them, you know?
Mhm.
So they were trying to change the environment and change outside things, and how many times we try to do that when really, again, the power is so much within inside of us. I'm so happy that you came on the show. I'm going to have to definitely have you on my show again because the time is just flying. And so
Yeah.
I want you to share whatever upcoming events or things. I know you have another upcoming detox.
Yes.
So
Yes. So, as far as upcoming events, I'm doing a speaking engagement and iridology readings at the Crystal Garden in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, in the Poconos. And
I
that's the
love that
Wellness
place.
Psychic Fair, the Wellness Psychic Fair this Saturday, March 23rd. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'll have my eagle eye drops there at the table. A lot of people
What are
are.
eagle eye drops?
Oh yeah, those are my eye drops for eye diseases. I've helped many people all over the world heal themselves of glaucoma, cataracts, macular degeneration, vision issues, vision getting better based upon them taking the eagle eye drops. And the reviews are on my site. So there's different herbs, an herbal formula that is applied to the eye 3 times a day. And really, it just strengthens the optic nerve and gets rid of all of the mucus that's clogged in the vessels behind the eye. And so I'll have that at the table for sale
What's
this
the
weekend.
address again? What is the address
I think it's
for the
1444 Pine Hill Road. Let me just look it up really quick. But I believe it's I know I remember that
It's up
444.
in Pocono Mountains. It's beautiful. You
Yes.
have all of nature around. I mean, and the store is beautiful. The
Beautiful.
Crystal Garden. You're
Mhm.
surrounded by crystals and
Mhm.
music and love. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. So you definitely want to
That's a
check
love.
that out.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's 1444 Pocono Boulevard. Suite 106, Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, 18344. Yeah, she
So
got a lot
that's
of 4 4s in her address. She definitely needs to get a numerology done. But yeah, that's where I'll be this Saturday. And then I have another event in Brooklyn, New York, April 14th. I'll be speaking there at Nicholas Brooklyn. And that address is 1396 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11216.
and we will be able to find that on your Instagram and on your website.
Yes, absolutely. My Instagram and my website. Also my link tree has all of my information there. Um,
And you can find the link tree in the bio of Instagram and
yes,
Facebook and
and
all that
holistic
jazz.
health. Absolutely.
What's your
And then
website again?
it's www.holistica holistica palace palace.com.
I wouldn't be pushing it as much as, but we know how there's so many people that are suffering from anxiety, allergies, and just things that don't need to be debilitating and definitely don't need to turn into anything later on. So
Right.
you definitely want to take advantage. That's why
Yeah.
I'm pushing for it, because I want to make this show definitely a resource for people
Yeah.
to take advantage of their health and really see how empowering it is that when you begin to really take control of your health, things open up for you, and you change your energy. You wind up pulling in better opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
better, I don't want to say better people, but people that are more on your vibration.
On your level, right? And you're not, as far as changing energy, it's more so accepting all parts of you. I think that's more so what anxiety is too. We have this thing, what's good or what's bad. and we ostracize and alienate ourselves from
We
the things that
reject
we
our,
like. We reject the parts that's bad, but we have to begin to accept those as not bad, but it's based upon perception and where you are at the moment. And so that's why, it's important for us to know how to use our will and spirit combined, which is the heart and the mind. And so when it comes to, issues with or challenges with anxiety, it's separation of the self and denials that we have not accepted
as the
about
shadow
ourselves.
healing. Yep, and
Yes,
that's what I specialize in, where
yes,
it's all again about integrating those wounds of shame,
right. And no longer look
victimization.
at it as shame, but more so experiences and lessons, because every experience is a lesson. And so it's just challenging. It's tough to really hone in on that. And I'm still learning. No one is perfect. As long as we're here, we're students.
I
So
think
as I'm
that we
speaking
always
to you,
learn.
I'm always speaking to myself as well, you know? So
That's
I'm
the
not,
fault.
no one is above. We're all learning here in this plane we call Earth.
Yep. And it's like peeling a layer. And let me tell you, if you're on your path, a lot of times I always say we have more healing to do than most,
Mhm.
So and that's why spirit has put us on this path, to be a good conduit
Right.
um, for spirit to speak. I want to thank you so much again for making time to be on my show. I'd love to have you on my show again, so that you can share more stories, more expertise, because I know that you'll be coming out with a lot more classes and a lot more products and a lot more wonderful things.
Yes. Also, before we end, I do classes every Sunday now on my YouTube channel, Holistic Healer. Last Sunday we did Eat Right for your iris type. Everyone heard Eat Right based upon your blood type. Well, I came with the Eat Right for your iris type. So that's a class that's up now. This
I like it.
Sunday, I'm having the iridology and cancer connection. Can the iris reveal cancer? And so I'll be talking about that, but more so on a deeper level, inspired by the book Cancer is Not a Disease. Oh, it's upstairs, by Andreas Moritz. May he rest in power. He was also an iridologist, very, very brilliant, who was one of the first who came out and said, cancer is not a disease. It's a healing mechanism. So we're going to be diving into that Sunday at 7:44 p.m. Eastern time.
And again, where can they find the YouTube channel?
Holistica Healer. Holistica, the Master Iridologist, pardon me. Holistica, the Master Iridologist. So that's HOLISTICA, the Master Iridologist.
And I'll also have that information for you all in the description box, because I think it's, like I said, it's so imperative right now. This is what we can do when the next time anyone says, "What can I do to save the world?" I can't do anything. Well, actually, it all starts with ourselves.
That's right.
So thank you again, Dr. Shakirah
Very
Moore.
welcome. Thank you for having me on your platform and sharing with everyone who's watching. I trust that they gain so much and that they feel that they have the power to heal thyself.
And they sure do. And I
Mhm.
want to thank everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of Rewired. Tune in every week to learn about different holistic and spiritual healers that change the body, mind, and spirit for the better, to empower you, to inspire you, to grow you so you can live your best life. And I also would like to invite you to check out my website, pureenergyhealer.com. There you can find my YouTube channels, and there I also have some shadow healing programs there. And you can find my Patreon, where you can find all my other subscriptions. All right. And thank you again. And until next time, always be true to you. Thank you again, Shakirah, Dr.
Thank
Shakirah.
you. Peace and love. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.